Hello, fourth graders. This week we will be beginning our 3-week study of energy and matter, which is what our world is made of. It is either energy or matter, whatever you can think of, whatever you can look at, touch. It will be either matter or energy. So we will be starting with matter. And so we're going to start with this slide here, ancient beliefs. And it used to be long ago that ancient people wondered what made up their world. The scholars observed and tested their world, just like a scientist does. They decided the world was made of earth, air, fire, and water. So this here represents that everything was either earth, water, air, or fire. Modern science uses tools, investigations, and experimentation to observe matter. Remember, last week we were practicing observations, making observations. And so scientists still are observing matter. In order to understand matter, it is important to understand that it is made up of something called elements. There are over 100 elements, and they are the building blocks of all matter. Boys and girls, if you haven't had this already, I want you to make sure you do have your science notebook or maybe a pencil and paper that you are keeping all together for science this year. But you will be asked to stop and take some notes as we move along here. So elements, as we said, are building blocks of all matter, are like the alphabet. Combining letters make words, and combining elements make matter. Maybe you can tell here already, these are 3 different molecules. We have hydrogen and 2 oxygens here. You're probably, hopefully, maybe being able to guess that this is H2O, which forms water. Gold, aluminum, and silver are elements. Water is made of the elements oxygen and hydrogen, as we saw above. Sugar is made from oxygen, hydrogen, and carbon. So you can mix elements together to make a different type of matter. This one here, Fe, is iron. So elements are made of very small units called atoms. Scientists use an electron microscope to look at atoms. When different atoms bond together, they form molecules. All the elements are arranged on a table called the periodic table of elements. You've probably seen something like this before. This is that periodic table of elements. There are 118 chemical elements known to man and woman. This is a very large number, and with all these elements combining to make different compounds, understanding them can be confusing. Here to the rescue, we have the periodic table, a tabular arrangement of all the known chemical elements according to their structural properties. Each chemical is arranged in tabular form so that we can 1. Accurately predict the properties of various elements and study the relations between them. 2. Keep track of newly discovered elements. 3. Analyze chemical behavior and how 2 chemicals might react with each other. So what is an element? An element is a pure chemical substance consisting of 1 type of atom. Examples would be carbon, oxygen, sodium, and iron. So in other words, if I had iron and it was pure iron, no matter how much I broke it down, it would just be iron. There would be nothing else inside of it except for iron. So what is an atom? An atom consists of a fixed number of protons, electrons, and neutrons, which makes each element unique. Protons and neutrons together make up the nucleus or the center of an atom, while the electrons orbit around it, almost like we orbit around the sun. Now, it's important to understand how protons, electrons, and neutrons work as we move further into electricity when we move into energy. So here's that periodic table again. Remember, you can always pause the video whenever you want to. And if you want to explore this further, you can do a little Google search on the periodic table of elements, and you'll find a lot of information out there. As you can see up here, we have the symbol that H stands for hydrogen, and hydrogen is the name below it. The atomic weight, so the weight of its atom, the atomic number, all of these things are listed within the little box of each element on a periodic table. So here's where I want you to pause your video, and I want you to copy this down in your notebook. It is important to understand that matter is made up of elements, that elements are made up of atoms, and that atoms are the building blocks of all matter, including us. We're matter. And so we have atoms inside of us as well. So pause here and write this down in your notebook. All right, so the next thing that you're going to do is you're going to watch the attached video called Atoms and Molecules. It's from Generation Genius. We've watched him before, to learn a little bit more about matter and how atoms and molecules work in matter. After you watch the video, I have assigned in your Google Classroom a quiz to take on it. Now I've designed it so that you can answer as many times as you want until you get the answers correct, so that you can kind of get instant feedback if it's wrong, and you can work to correct it if you did get it wrong. As you watch the video, you might want to take a few notes. Remember, it's going to be important to learn about protons, neutrons, and electrons, which are found inside of an atom, as we move further into energy. So if you hear anything interesting in the video, you could stop and take some notes in your notebook. I am also going to be attaching some brain pop to our videos to this, and I want you, after the brain pop video, to do the quiz, to challenge yourself to see what you learned from the brain pop videos. And I also would like for you to try maybe one or two of the activities that go along with the videos. All right, fourth graders, have fun learning about the building blocks of all matter this week.